All right. Welcome back to a new episode. As usual, before we get into anything, why you guys watch, I don't know, but thank you guys for doing so, liking the video. This last video was awesome. Seeing all your comments. Overreaction Monday has been pretty fun, talking about everything that's happened in the week prior. So, big shout out to you guys. Make sure you keep doing it. Like the button. Thank you for those who have already subscribed. Just like last week, I'll give you guys a quick second. If you're not subscribed, to go ahead and find that subscribe button, hit it. Make sure you turn on the notification bell. I wish I could make it easier for you guys, but YouTube wants to make it as hard as possible sometimes. All right, cool. Well, I think that's enough time. We'll get back around to it at the end of the video. But for today, we're going to do a preview of the game this weekend against Kansas State. So this will be OU's first road game for the season. We opened up with 4 straight home games. Obviously, we should have had a road game against Tulane, but because of the hurricane, it got moved to Norman. So this will be the first time that this squad of Sooners will be on the road. And as a quick reminder, this is also the first time that Spencer Rattler will be playing against an opposing crowd. Last year, due to COVID, most stadiums were empty, didn't have people
I think
in the
Iowa State was
stadium.
half capacity when we went to
Okay.
Ames last year.
So this will be the first time at least he'll be in a packed, sold
Yeah.
out stadium and with the visiting team. So definitely going to be a different environment that all these guys probably haven't been in, at least since high school. Other than the more experienced guys like Kennedy Brooks, that'll be new to everyone. But and I think the biggest story for the week is going to be is Skylar Thompson playing this week. Brandon, I know you said you had heard
Yeah.
something earlier.
All the all the reports on ESPN and stuff that have come out the past couple of days indicate he's not, or it seems unlikely, which would obviously be a big help for the Sooners. Skylar Thompson's put up some really good numbers against us. But on my way home from work today, I was listening to the Sports Animal. Jim Traber was on there talking about how people have been texting him with knowledge of K-State football, saying that there's a chance he plays this weekend, like a legitimate chance he plays. ESPN still reporting unlikely. I hope he plays personally because I would like to beat them at full strength, and I don't want all the excuses that Kansas State could have if we win. If Skylar Thompson doesn't play and they're rolling with Jaron Lewis and Will Howard. If we beat them with those two quarterback lineups that they're currently rolling with, that could be like an excuse game, an excuse thing that K-State fans can say. So hopefully Skylar Thompson does play, but that is the biggest storyline leading into this game, no doubt.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, the Wildcats are 3-1 this so far in the season. Their only loss came to Oklahoma State last week. And from what I saw, I saw some of the game, went back and rewatched what I missed, and it really seemed like Kansas State really just has a hard time coming out of a big hole. At least with these two backup quarterbacks, they are playing kind of a mix. It seemed like they flipped back and forth sometimes with their quarterback, but for what's been reported so far, Howard is slotted as the starting quarterback, with Jaron as the number 2. Who knows what they'll be doing at that position if Skylar can't play against Oklahoma, but they will still have their biggest weapon on the offense in Deuce Vaughn. That guy, I believe he is still considered a freshman, and if not, he's a sophomore. I can't remember what his designation was last year, but obviously everyone got an extra year because of COVID last year. So this dude is already extremely talented, and he's definitely going to be, I would say, number one focus for our
Oh yeah.
defense. Luckily, our running defense ranks in the top 10. I believe we're number 9 right now after 4 weeks. So we have proven to stop the run. I just don't know, going back and going through all these last weeks, we haven't really played any running back like Deuce Vaughn so far.
No. Deuce Vaughn, to this point of the season, like you mentioned, is without a doubt the best opposing running back that the Sooners will have faced. But going back, if Skylar Thompson can't play, ideally the Sooners can just kind of sit, 7 or 8 in the box and kind of take away the run game and the quick screen game to Vaughn, and make them beat you with their arms because Will Howard and Jaron Lewis they've not been very good. simply put. So like, yeah, Deuce Vaughn there's no denying his talent, but if Skylar Thompson can't go and they can't throw the ball, the Sooners should be able to really hone in and limit him.
Yeah, and honestly, I think like we've mentioned in our last few videos, our defense has seemed to be the highlight of the team so far. I think in this case, we're really going to need to see a lot of our out of our linebackers. Earlier this week, I saw Stutzman could be taking the field this week, so if he can play, him along with Asamoah,
I'd like to
Caleb
have Redmond
Kelly.
back too. I know he's not a linebacker, but
Yeah, so like
important.
the linebackers are going to be important because they'll be able to, one of those guys is going to be assigned to Deuce. If they can make sure that they're just always keeping him in front, then we should be able to contain him for the most part. Our defensive line is good enough that they're not allowing any huge runs through the trenches. We just don't. If our linebackers can stay in front of him on the outside, making sure he's not taking the edge, then essentially, I believe obviously it's easier said than done. Then we should be able to keep him at bay and make their quarterback beat us. Now, Howard is able to run the ball. He's not scared of running the ball. I believe he has a little over 25 attempts on about 95 yards, if I remember correctly. And he did score a touchdown on the ground. Howard did. So if we can take Deuce out of the game, then we just pretty much want to make the quarterback beat us however the quarterback can. But with the people that, again, with Stutzman coming back, I think we really have a good chance of doing that because Stutzman has shown he's kind of a guy similar, if we go back to a recent Sooner linebacker like K9, that guy was a guy that you would trust to shadow a running back. And I think Stutzman can do the same. Maybe similar to the same level. Not that the guys that we currently
Not
have
quite yet,
healthy,
but
but
he's pretty darn good.
Yeah, he's shown at least on his tape, and he has the ability to. As we just have to see which linebacker is going to be assigned to cover the back this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we have to eliminate that. It's been 3 years since we beat K-State.
This would be if we lost this year, it would be year 3.
This would be 3. Yeah. Well, you have to go back to 2017, the last time we beat them in Manhattan.
Yeah.
But all of that changes if Skylar Thompson doesn't play. I'm just gonna say it right now. The game they have zero chance. If Skylar Thompson does play, they'll have a chance. Just because I think in that guy's last 2 games against us, he has 7 total touchdowns. A lot of those big, especially the meeting last year in Norman, where the Sooners had a huge lead going into the 4th, and he kind of pitched a perfect 4th quarter. Brought them all the way back. So we'll see. But if he doesn't play, they have zero chance, and this should be, as great as Deuce Vaughn is, this should be the easiest defensive game for the Sooners all season, just because if one guy beats us, especially a running back, that's really bad. If he can't play, there should be a zero chance for Kansas State.
I don't think there's zero chance they'll beat us. I just think it's going to be a much closer game than we would expect.
How are they going to score points if they can't throw the ball and they have to run every single play? The Sooners honing on that. What do they? How do they score? How do they?
But it's not that they can't throw the ball. They're throwing. It might not be, their quarterbacks might not be Skylar Thompson, but their quarterbacks don't completely suck right now. That Will Howard has, shown some bright spots in his play. Like I said, he can run the ball. He's not scared of going out there and he gets yards with his legs. And the dude right now does lead his team. He does lead between the 2 quarterbacks. He is the one leading in yards right now. So they're not that bad on the offenses. We just have to make sure that we are forcing the quarterback to beat us rather than letting Deuce take over the game. Now, I guess we can pivot this pretty easily. It really just depends on if our offense can find their rhythm this week.
That's the
because
theme.
If they can, then I agree, because they won't be able to keep up with our scoring. Because in the past, these have been pretty high scoring games. Mm-hmm. But if this stays low scoring,
40 something or 51 to 48 or something, it was.
Yeah, I think it was like
scored last year.
They were both in the 40s, if not both were like on the brinks of being in the 40s. So if this stays a low scoring game, then they do have a chance of beating us. I don't think they will, but if we can get back to high powered offense, really establishing the run and give Kennedy Brooks the opportunity to be our feature back. Eric Gray just isn't that guy at being a feature back. Not that he's a bad player. I just think they need to swap the
He
amount
should
of
be a
touches
change
they're
of pace
getting.
kind of running back. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, because he does bring that great change of pace. He's probably a little better in the screen game, the swing pass type game. That first drive against West Virginia where they swung it out to him and he
Mm-hmm.
made two dudes miss in a open space and picked up that huge gain down to like the 10. He brings a lot to the team. A lot of he's elusive. He's a change of pace. But I'm totally with you. With Kennedy Brooks, should be the feature back. He should be the 15 touch a game guy versus Eric Gray, maybe 9 or 10. Um, but
Yeah.
that, but like as you like it's just like you mentioned, the offense is going to be the theme for me at least, and every single show we do until they hit it, because as soon as they figure it out, like I've been saying, and I truly think they will figure it out, this team's going to be nasty. And if there's no better week really. K-State we want to beat anyway. We're on the road. We haven't beaten them there since 2017. And Spencer, I'm sure Spencer Rattler wants to just go out there and have a 400-yard game, 4 touchdowns, and just in a way like say FU student section, like we want Caleb now. Like I feel like he wants so badly to shut up his own fan base, which is sad, but he probably does.
Well, I mean, I don't want to speak for like his mindset. I think something that Lincoln said in his presser earlier this week was, if something like that can get to our quarterbacks, to any guy in our quarterback room, we have the wrong guys. I think Spencer's mentally tough enough to get over that. Really, any athlete at this level should be, because if you obviously those kind of things will frustrate anyone, and I'm not saying they don't frustrate those guys, but they should have the mental capacity to just move on.
Oh, I mean, yeah,
maybe something
right.
to put a chip on their shoulder kind of thing.
There's no doubt. I think he's mentally tough. Like I don't think he's losing sleep over the we want Caleb chance. But on the same hand, to that point, I definitely think Spencer Rattler's that kind of guy to where he wants to be like, look what I just did, shut up, type deal. That's just kind of the vibe I get from watching him and his attitude. I mean, if you watch QB1. Netflix a couple years ago, he has that kind of thing in him, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a guy that's got some attitude with his play. So I completely believe it, that it's definitely something that probably will get brought up once he has his big game.
It's not like first and foremost on his mind is to get the student section off his back, but I promise you the day he does have a 400-yard game and 3 or 4 touchdowns, it'll be something he thinks about and be like, damn, I wish I could hear him now. Something like that.
Yeah. And I think at this point with what happened last week, most of the, local media, national media, anyone that covers Oklahoma or watches Oklahoma has pointed at the offensive line. The offensive line did have a bad game last week to Oklahoma standards. Honestly, I think it was kind of a bad game for anyone's standards, but definitely to OU's. It's not what we expect from the offensive line. If you hear Gabe Eichert, he was frustrated with the offensive line's performance. And then going to national media, Joel Klatt is a guy that really follows Oklahoma, given that he works for Fox. And he mentioned, yes, Spencer Rattler does force some throws. Yes, Spencer Rattler does have things to work on, but last week's game wasn't on Spencer Rattler. No. Last week's game was fully on not having the good protection in front of him. There were something he mentioned. There was always a line. The linebacker was easily coming through untouched a lot of the time.
I think he had like the
5 or 6 rushes untouched.
The Mountaineers were sitting in his lap every snap or something like that.
And then
his exact words. But yeah, I mean, that's what happened.
And I think also why Kennedy Brooks should be the feature back other than Eric Gray, not Eric Gray, is I think Kennedy Brooks having a bigger frame, a bigger body would help with pass protection in those situations. Thinking back to Kennedy Brooks in the past, obviously our offensive line was good, but he was pretty good at picking up that blitzer. And Eric Gray is just a smaller dude, at least frame wise, compared to Kennedy. And obviously running backs, their main job is to run the ball or catch the ball out of the backfield. But one of the jobs they do need to be good at is protecting the quarterback when you have to sit back there and pass protect. And Kennedy's frame just kind of gives him that advantage. And honestly, that should be another reason why Kennedy's the number one back.
We're both on the Kennedy Brooks to be the feature back train. going back to the offensive line, because that was without a doubt the weakest point of the West Virginia game, and maybe all season if you look at the Sooners offensively. You got to wonder why guys like Wayne Morris, I know he played a little bit last week. With the way that they looked last week, as bad as it was at times, I mean, like I said, last week it was awful. Like it's and from what I remember, because I was at the game, it's hard to. This might be a better question for you. When Wanya was in the game, how did he look out there? Like I feel like he kind of held his own, looked okay from the limited snaps I was able to see live from watching him. But there's got to be something to give on that O line. Coach Bedenbaugh's too good of a coach. We just have to figure out how to protect Spencer and run block way better, because last week we only had 50 rushing yards against West Virginia, and we can't have that either.
I think from watching the game on TV, the tackles didn't struggle as much as the interior of the line. It was the guards weren't, I don't want to say they weren't athletic enough, but maybe they just weren't having the right jump on the snap to move. I think one of our biggest plays in this offense with Lincoln is having right guards or the guards pull to the opposite side to help create a hole, and it'd be more of a sweep rather than dive through the middle. The guards, especially Murray, I think Murray struggled the most from my perspective. He wasn't able to take that pop over to the left side. But I still think it's not so much these guys aren't talented enough. I think we've done so much rotating at the offensive line, not just from what's been reported at practice, but during actual games. There's so many combinations. They need to just stick to one unit. Put out the guys you believe are the best guys at each position. If it's Wanya, if it's Anton, if it's Swenson, just let them play a whole game together so that Rame, the guy that's supposed to be our starting center, or if it's Kongo, whoever the center is going to be is going to be key and to be able to help, put this unit together. But if they keep making all these rotations, we're going to keep seeing this bad communication. We're going to keep having a hard time protecting the quarterback. And especially, like I said, if we keep having Gray as the guy that's kind of being forced onto as a feature back.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right with that. I don't care what the line looks like. Whether it's Rame or Coughlin or whatever his name. I think it's Cogner, whatever. I'm trying to go at. Congo, yeah. Whether it's Rame or Congo, at tackle, whether it's Wanya or not Wanya, but you're absolutely right with when you rotate so much on the line, it's those guys can't get, they can't get acclimated together. They can't get in a rhythm or a groove. So no matter what Bedenbaugh decides is the final product, he's just got to pick a final product and roll with it. And that way the Sooners can, get some continuity together, get some camaraderie, and then they can, play the offensive line that we're so accustomed to seeing.
Yeah. The one thing that I could see being tough for this game is this isn't really the game where we're going to be able to give either running back a smooth transition to helping us establish that run. The Kansas State defense, they're ranked at number 9 in rushing defense. So they're very good at stopping the run. Again, they also haven't played anyone, or I guess last week they had their worst game with stopping the run with Oklahoma State's running back totaling almost 130 yards on less than 30 carries. Which is an encouraging sign,
because Oklahoma State was not looking good offensively against Tulsa, Missouri State, really anybody. And Boise State, Boise State gave them everything they wanted, and then, they kind of had it coming out against Kansas State. So hopefully that's, if Oklahoma State can do it, why can't we do it offensively? That's kind of how I'm looking at it. And maybe this is the week. I'm hoping, and fingers crossed, it's the week. Let's just go hang 40. That would be, I think it's just a huge sigh of relief for everybody who watches, loves, cares about Sooner football.
Yeah, I agree with what you said there at the beginning with the Oklahoma State game being encouraging for us establishing the run, because before last week, collectively, Kansas State allowed less than 300 yards, I believe, total in 3 games.
But as you mentioned, that's Stanford, Nevada, and Southern Illinois.
Right. But I mean, still, you would expect maybe 100 yards from, collection of running backs, but they hadn't. I mean, maybe they did it one time, but they had stopped the others from doing so. Now, and then last week, their running back not only had a great game on the ground, but he had a pretty good game with catching the ball out of the backfield. So, I mean, while they are good, they are ranked high. I think it was just benefiting from the circumstance they were put in. They didn't have to really play anyone great. Obviously, we could say the same thing about Oklahoma because we didn't play anyone great at the running back position. So that may be why we're ranked so high. But it is promising to see that someone, Oklahoma State was able to have a good game on the ground. So hopefully Kennedy Brooks, Eric Gray can have good games on the ground. And something I've also been seeing on Twitter, not so much with big media sources, but a lot of fans want to see Spencer run the ball a little bit more. I don't know if that's the smartest idea because I think
I don't
this
know if that's
offense
his
is
game at
predicated on
all.
his
Yeah,
arm, but
yeah.
I think that they have a little bit of a point. He should be more open to taking runs when he obviously can't find something.
He just seems so slow when he's running. Like I don't know if that's something. I mean, I mean, if he can do it, I'd love to see him. Pop some runs up. But like every single time I've seen him run, he doesn't look like he moves very well. Like that's not something he wants to do.
Yeah, he's definitely not like Jalen Hurts or Kyler Murray. He should watch tape from like an Aaron Rodgers, or I know Russell Wilson is more mobile and can run the ball better, but play like an Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson because those guys really don't run, but they run when they can't find anything downfield or they just throw the ball away. Like they're not forcing the issue, which is Spencer, I think, biggest opportunity to grow right now.
Yeah, no, that's definitely his biggest opportunity to grow is to stop forcing and stop throwing the ball where he doesn't need to be throwing it. He just needs to see. I think he just needs to relax. I think what happened, last year he had the rough start too. Benched a little bit at the OU Texas game for Mordecai. I don't think anybody, legitimately thought, okay, it's Tanner Mordecai's team now. Like Tanner Mordecai's going to be the guy. I think Spencer knowing there's another 5-star on the bench. If I don't play well, holy shit, they could play Caleb Williams. Maybe that leads to him feeling like he has to, throw those deep balls into coverage and try to make, a big play or, do these heroic stuff instead of just, if he just played like he did the last 8 games and just take what's there, he's going to put up the numbers that he did last year and we'll be just fine. And I think that's really all we have to do. Just take what's there, hit the open receiver, quit forcing things, and the offense will look a lot better.
Oh yeah, 100%. And Spencer forces it when it's down the field. He is taking what the defense gives him, I would say 95% of the time. It's just whenever he feels like he needs a big play, whenever maybe he's feeling more pressure because there is obviously, like we said earlier, the offensive line is allowing more pressure more this year than they did last year with him. But it's not like he's throwing dumb passes, in the short game or even at the mid level. He's trying to force huge plays, and that's when a safety and a corner are coming together. Yeah. But I mean, he's very talented again. I think you and I both agree. We believe in his ability. We just need to figure establishing the running game with whatever running back we believe it should be Kennedy Brooks.
Hopefully that momentum carries over from their last drive to the last game. Cause he was perfect on that drive. And we looked really good. The line protected him. That's the crazy thing, man. If you protect Spencer Rattler, imagine, he puts together a drive like that and wins the game for you.
Yeah.
It boils down to protecting him, and it boils down to him not being dumb with, forcing a couple passes a game. And then it's a brand new team.
100%. And I guess the one thing that in the air game that is a little concerning is Kansas State's defense hasn't been half bad when it comes to, getting their hands on the ball and completing interceptions. This year, I believe they have 13 pass deflections, and I think 4 or 5 picks, if I remember correctly. So they're not half bad in their secondary. So I think we both agree, not just for this game, but moving forward for Oklahoma. And this podcast has said it before. when we're named two planes because we believe that you win the game in the trenches. We can explain that some other time again, but if we can establish the run, win the game in the trenches, then we'll be able to confuse their
That's
DBs and make sure we're
yes.
getting Mike Woods for these long touchdowns that he showed he can make at Arkansas. Mario Williams has been, I mean, we thought he was going to play this year, but I didn't think he was going to play this much. And he's been a bright spot with that, with the
Oh yeah.
receiving core, obviously with Weiss being injured. So, so far this year, and Hazelwood hasn't had a bad season either. That guy, I would say he's more of the possession catcher for this offense. He's making
He's elusive in
when
the
the
open
ball
field. He's
is,
tough to bring down. Yeah.
yeah, when he gets the ball, he secures it, and he's making plays when he can.
Yeah.
So this offense has the weapons. They just got to put
Is
them
this the
together.
week?
I hope so. I think like we
Yes or
mentioned
no? What do you
earlier.
think? If you had to bet on it, is this the week? Yes or no? I say
Yes.
yes. It's okay.
Not
We're in
only
agreement.
not only do I want it to be a week, but it has to be the week. If we roll into Dallas versus Texas right now, we might hate them, but their offense right now is rolling.
Yeah.
Sark figured out that Thompson is better than Hudson Card,
Yeah.
and Bijan Robinson isn't half bad. So if we roll in there, our defense better be ready for a battle against that Texas offense because we're not going to be scoring that many points
No, I definitely
if
agree. We
we if
need
we
to.
aren't establishing this week.
Yeah, we have to score against them to win. They're not going to hang 70 on us like they did Tech,
No.
obviously, but 30 is not out of the question. So like we need to, we got to go out there and score 35 to beat Texas, and we haven't shown that yet. So you're absolutely right. Where this has to be the week, and but I have a feeling it is.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it'll. I mean, it's been the theme of this episode. Kennedy Brooks has to be given the opportunity to be our feature back
Yeah.
because that not only will it make Spencer's job easier, it'll make the offensive line's job easier because last week West Virginia did pressure a lot. Like they were noticing our line and our backs couldn't pick up the blitz. So why not keep doing what's working? Like if it's not broken, don't fix it. And that's what they did. But if as soon as we can establish the run, it'll make the game easier for the offensive line because they won't have six guys coming at them from all different directions, and our backs will have an easier time probably picking up the blitz because they'll see when it's coming. It's not just when you don't as a player you're probably not expecting a blitz to come every other play, and that's what it seemed like they were doing
Yeah.
last week. So,
Yeah.
what are your keys? Who do you expect to have a big game for Oklahoma?
Spencer Rattler. I'm hammer number 7. I think it's time. It's gonna be the week that we protect him. He puts everything together. He's gonna have a big game. I'm gonna say 3 touchdown passes.
What about on the defensive side of the ball?
Defensively, one of those linebackers. I don't know if I don't know exactly who. We'll go. No, let's go Perion Winfrey.
Winfrey, he's due for a big game.
Yeah,
I think
he's due for a big one too.
Isaiah Coe's been not Isaiah Coe, sorry. IT's been getting a lot of hype and well deserved hype over the last few games. I think Perion Winfrey, it's his turn to have his big game. So I think that's fair. For me, I think it's KB, Kennedy Brooks. I think he'll have over 100 yards rushing this week, maybe about 30 yards on it through the air, and hopefully a touchdown or two. On the defensive side, Stutzman coming back, I think is going to be big, and I'm going to pick him to be the key player for our defense.
Is he for sure playing?
It was reported that he's likely to play, so if he does play, that's my pick. If it's not him, then Brian Asamoah. I think Asamoah will have the opportunity to be Deuce Vaughn's shadow. So we just whichever linebacker has a shadow the running back, that's my pick. I'm assuming it's going to be Stutzman or Asamoah, but that's where I'm going. Prediction. Here. So I think you said the line was 11.5, right?
11, I think.
11.
It's 11 or 11.5. I can't remember exactly which one.
So since my pick was Kennedy Brooks as the offensive player, I'm going to go with like 35 to 15 to 14.
Okay, I have like 27-13.
So similar. I just think that I think that Spencer's going to have a huge game this week after KB does his thing. But yeah, we should be able to cover this week
We should cover
finally.
this week. Finally, I agree. And Sooner fans should finally see some offense that we're used to seeing this week. I think we both agree on that.
Yeah, 100%. Do you have anything else before we close it out today?
Let's just finally beat Kansas State.
Let's get it.
Too long.
So if we do beat Kansas State, which we all hope we do, not only will it be the first time in 3 seasons, but it'll be Lincoln's first win against Kleiman. Yep. So and a lot of great things that were happening.
Sets up a 5-0 meeting against Texas. I mean, what
exactly.
more do you want?
Which was what we wanted whenever we started this. Before, when we did our preseason podcast, we wanted to roll into Red River undefeated, and we hoped that Texas would come in undefeated as well. So, I mean, we're at least coming in undefeated. We'll see how their matchup works this week, but we got it. We have to win. This is Oklahoma's must win right now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
and must win big, not just must win big. So
let's put it together. I agree.
Let's get it done. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Check out down below our socials. Make sure you're following them. We post on there as much as we can. We do updates on recruiting for Oklahoma. We'll post what we see. We'll retweet everyone that we know is a reliable source. So make sure you're following that to keep updated with the Sooners. And then, like I said earlier in the video, hit that subscribe button. It's important. Sure. Turn on the little notification bell. The more you do that, obviously, the more it helps us. And if you do like these videos, share them with your friends, your family, post them on Reddit, post them on your job, chat channel, whatever you want, make sure that you're showing your friends, because the bigger the community gets, obviously, the more you can talk about with your friends what we're talking about and talk about how stupid we are or how smart we are. I don't know how you guys feel about us. And obviously leave a comment with what you agree or disagree, what your score prediction, what have you. We love hearing from you guys. And like I've said in the past, we'll try to we'll try to reply to you guys as fast as we can. But other than
hopefully we have a promise cat video at the end of the week here.
Hopefully tune in on Monday for next week's Overreaction Monday. And let's all hope, pray, whatever, that Oklahoma can hang at least 30 on these guys.
It's about time.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.